Morning. Good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time you're watching this broadcast, I want to welcome you to today's Enlightenment. My name is Jay Moore, your healthy accountant, helping you to account for your life. Guys, this morning, the broadcast, the title is Power. Power. I spoke on power before, but I think this particular broadcast is a little bit different. I was listening to a sermon recently by T.D. Jakes, and he really shared something. And I'm just going to kind of share part of what I heard of, how he broke down power. And I'm not going to do it justice the way he did it, but I can tell you that just this word power alone gives you power. Literally, power gives you power. I've never watched the show Power, but I've heard about this show Power. A lot of people love that show. I think it was on HBO or Showtime or whatever, and people tuned in for this show. And when I can only imagine when the writers started or wanted to come up with this name, they said, man, when we name this thing Power, power alone gets people interested. You think if someone has power and they use it, you want to see it. We all want to see what the powerful can do, because most of us may not ever experience having power ourselves. Oh man, that's good. Most of us may not ever experience having this power. Now, that's not saying you couldn't have the power, but it's nothing like when it's kind of like you walk into a room and you can look around and you can see the powerful. You can see the individuals that are walking tall. You can see the individuals with their chests out. You can see the individuals, the ones that may be dressed a certain way. Sometimes the powerful may not always look powerful, but when you can see it, it's a beautiful thing. I'm talking about, it's an unbelievable thing. I remember a number of years ago, man, this is 2019. So this was back in 2000. This was back in, um, what year was it? 2001. Yeah, this was back in 2001. I think I joined like my second network marketing business. And I was rolling with this guy named Stanley. I'm talking about Stanley was powerful. I'm talking about the guy, dude, he dressed impeccably. I'm talking about he walked a certain way. When he walked, I'm talking, he would be walking through the airport. And if you didn't know him, you would think that he was somebody, because he walked with power. Like that's just how he walked. I'm talking about was from Houston. He was no or Dallas. Houston or Dallas won, but he was powerful. Now he had a strong accent, but you know what? That's what drew you to him, because this accent, you almost couldn't believe that he was talking this way, but it was just power. And there's a group of texts in Acts 9 verse 1 through 9, and this is an encounter where power meets real power. If you are familiar with the story of Saul, who became Paul, who was one of the biggest inspirations in the Christian movement, Saul was out to get the Christians. You know this because you may have read it. Saul was out to get the Christians. Was Saul was the kind of person, see, he knew the law. He knew the scriptures. He was studied up. He went to all the schools. So he knew how things should be run. And when everyone saw Jesus come through, and then after Jesus died, Saul, his mission was to eradicate all of the people that were going against the synagogue. And because that's what he knew, his 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 thinking or his truth, which this is how Jake's put it, his truth was only to a certain level. So his truth was here, and Saul, not Paul yet, Saul knew that it was his mission to make sure that he got rid of these insurgents or these people that they were not doing the things the way that they were supposed to do them. At least that's what he believed. Now, the thing about Saul is that if you really pay attention, Saul already had power. See, Saul didn't actually need he didn't need a whole bunch of people to say that, hey, Saul's got power now. Saul had power. Saul was able to basically get the high priest, the people that had power as well. Hey, high priest, to give him letters. It's kind of like, hey, I need a reference. So if you went to somebody and you needed a reference, you never worked with them before, and you say, hey, I need a reference from you for something that I'm working on, and they give you a reference. Why would they give you a reference? They would give you a reference because they already know. They didn't have to work with you. They know that you're powerful. They know that you can do everything that you're talking about. And here it is. Saul's like, hey, look, I'm doing this thing, and I want to go around and I want to get rid of all these people. I want to drag them out of the synagogues. I want to bring them back to Jerusalem. We could kill them. We can do it, but this is going to stop. And Saul went to power, and the power of the high priest. They knew, oh yes, let's give him what he needs. So think about it. Saul was getting people to follow him. Like, he hadn't even joined the Christian movement yet. He already had followers. He already had people that were willing to go in the truth that he was leading. Think about it. He's on the road to Damascus. That's where this chapter 9 starts. He's on the road headed to Damascus. And it says, in the meantime, Saul, now a member of the high council, think about this, and full of hatred, threatened to kill the believers wherever he happened to find them. One day he went to the high priest, got permission to go to the far north Damascus, search for the Christians. He said that all he needed was letters to the synagogue leaders authorizing him to arrest any Jewish Christians he found there. He would bring them back to Jerusalem and so they can stand trial. Whether they were men or women, the high priest gave Saul a letter of authorization. He requested, and immediately Saul headed for Damascus. And days of travel, this is where you got to hear it. Days of travel, he and his companions were nearing the city when suddenly, this is the part that I really wanted you to hear, suddenly a brilliant light from heaven flashed around Saul. He stumbled and fell blinded to the ground. Then he heard a voice saying, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? Power meets power. Saul didn't need Jesus to give him power for followers. He already had that. Now, the thing was, Saul met real power. Like, he met the real power. He's like, whoa. See, Saul hadn't come up against this power before. So as soon as he saw it, it's like this light. Like, think about it. When you go outside, you see the light. And light's not so bright you can't see, but it's nothing like that day when you're driving in that sun. You're driving and the sun is just right in your eye, and you're to the point where you can't hardly see anything. But imagine if that light came directly into your eye. You would go blind. And that's what happened. Saul goes blind, gets down to his knees, but he realized his power was no power against this power. And humbly, Jesus says, Saul, why are you persecuting me? And he's like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, yes, you're persecuting the people who follow me. And if you're persecuting them, then you're persecuting me. And I'm going to tell you, Saul, now you think he now knows that there's a power greater. There's a greater power. And so now he is humbled before a new power. Like I'm telling you, I cannot do the justice that Jakes did this, but I'm gonna tell you, he humbled himself to this power. He was blind, but he was willing to allow that power to lead. Blind for 3 days. Blind for 3 days. Didn't know where he was going. And I wrote a note down. Where's my note? I wrote a note that I wanted to share with you. And the note is this. The note is this. Let me find the note. Saul had to get insight before he could get eyesight. So for 3 days, he received insight to where he was in his life, to all the things that he had been doing. And now he was introduced to a new power, which was a new truth that was now elevating him to a different level. And I want to just kind of stop there because I want you to think, just like I was thinking last night as I'm taking in this information. I want you to think about your life. And I want you to think about the truth that you're living under. See, the reason why most of us, you, me, are without power is because of the truth that you're living in. See, the truth that you're living in may be saying things like, well, there's no way that I can, do 1,000 push-ups in a day. The truth that you're living in may be saying there's no way that I can run 7 days a week, 2 to 3 miles a day. The truth that you're living in you may be saying there's no way I could have a multi-million-dollar business and it produce fruit every single year and it evolves to something great and it's helping people and helping businesses to become healthy and people becoming healthy, their finances are healthy and their life changes. See, if things are in your life that's causing you not to believe those types of things, then there's a truth that you're living that's causing you to not have a power, that's causing you to not have what it is that you've already been gifted to have. I asked a question 2 weeks ago. I've got this program at my church. It's called Next Level Youth Ministry. I changed the name of the ministry to Next Level. And because I realized that, look, there's not a person on this planet who does not want to go to the next level. Because when you get to the next level, you're going to want to go to the next level. It's like going to school. When you go to the one grade, you want to go to the next. When you're in college, you want to go to the next. When you get out of college, here's the messed up thing, or here's the messed up thing. When you get out of high school, most people stop going to a level. But everyone wants to go to a next level. I asked the question, hey, does anybody believe that they have the power to heal? I asked this question 2 weeks ago. There was about 18 people in the room. I would say a third said yes. Now, I don't think they believed it. I don't think they believed it, but I think they knew where I was going, so they knew they should go with the fact that, yeah, I can heal. I can do it. It's kind of like when Jesus asked the disciples, who do you say I am? Is the question he asked. And everybody gave an answer. And here's Peter. Oh, you are the Christ. You are the Christ, is what he said. And Jesus said to him, hey, if it were not for my Father, you would not know. You don't even know what you're saying. Yeah, you're saying it, but you don't really know that. You don't really understand that. So I asked that question about, do you believe that you have power to heal? Because it starts with a small seed, tiny. But if you've been beat down and you're 70 years old, if you've been beat down, you're 30, you're 40, you're 50, even if you're 18 and you've been beat down to believe that there's no way you can do stuff, then you lost your power. See, sometimes power is given early. Like I can think back to high school, and really high school, there was a bunch of guys in high school. They had power, man. were leaders. They were people that would follow. And I remember looking up to these guys and saying, man, these guys are good. Now, the thing is, everybody didn't continue to use their power in the manner in which it should be used. See, that's the tragedy. The tragedy of life is when you have something and then you fail to use it to its potential. I did a broadcast. Maybe a week or two ago about what is your potential, and I talked about my brother and how how he had. Look, my brother was a great basketball player. I'll call him great because he was great in my eyes. He had something that people couldn't believe that he had. He was small, but yet he was big. He played big. If you were big, it was like, yeah, you might be tall, but put the ball in the floor. He was going to take it from you. And I talked about that potential, man, and how, if you don't intend to grow in your potential, or sometimes you need somebody else to help you activate your potential. Now, we can all say, man, I didn't have anybody. Man, I didn't have a coach, but I'm going to tell you, if you got access to this great book here, if you got access to the Bible, the book of the ages, one of the greatest books ever written, sold the most ever. More people have this book than any book. That should say something to you. So if you got access to that book, then you didn't need a physical person, because there's so much inside of that book that I'm talking about with a couple of chapters, you could change your life. I'm talking about with a verse, you could change your life. I found verses in this book that's literally changed my life. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. What? Are you serious? I'm talking about Romans, Romans 12:2. I just was repeating that one about, what's that verse? Don't pattern your life after this world. Don't pattern your life after this world, but let God give you a new way of thinking. Man, these two, I'm talking about just them two. Just those two verses could change everything about your life if you lived them. See, I say if you lived them. See, a lot of times I was talking to my sons yesterday, helping them in a manner that I know that they could use. I gave them a new math equation. I asked them, what did they learn in school? I'm going to be wrapping this up in just a couple of minutes. I said, what did you guys learn in school yesterday? And so I was talking to my youngest first, and he was just like, oh, I learned elimination in math today. So I was like, well, all right, well, what is elimination? And he's like, so he started trying to talk about it. He's like, I can't really, I don't know. So he couldn't really tell me. I said, well, you may have kind of learned it, but you're not at the point of knowing it. So I hadn't given him the definition of knowing it yet. But I said, well, teach it to me. He couldn't teach me yet. So he was thinking, and so he got up. We were eating dinner. And so then I went to my oldest son. And I said, hey, what'd you learn today, in school? And he said something in government. He's just like, well, they've been talking about the executive order. I was just trying to figure out why they were talking about it. He's not interested, to be honest. And I can tell. And so somehow we got to math, because that's his favorite subject. Like he loves math. And I said, oh, let me give you a new math problem, because I was trying to I asked him something. I can't remember. I asked him. I said, you know what? I asked him about problems. I said, do you have any problems? No, I don't think I have any problems. And then he may have given me something, and then I gave him a definition. I showed him how to solve a life problem. I said, a life problem is A plus B equals C. And so usually the problem is, I've got this problem, A. And now in order to get what I want, which is the equals, which is C. So you may know A and you know C, right? You got this problem. but you know you want something. I said, you got to figure out what B is so that you can get C. So every time you face a problem, you should go problem plus this equals this. Because what you're looking to do now is that you're looking to you want to solve this problem. And he had given me a scenario that I showed him how to solve a problem. I said, you want to take this math equation and use it with everything that you do. He's like, oh, he said, man, that's interesting. So he learned something. So then my youngest son taught me about his math, but I'm going to get back to this power because I want to close this up for you guys today. See, guys, power, the thing about power is that we all are living under a truth, and that truth is only going to allow you to have a power up to the point of what you believe. And so if you don't believe that you have power that can help to transcend your life and even the lives of the people around you, then you're absolutely right. It won't happen. Like when I asked the people at church, at the program, I said, hey, who can heal? And I said, yeah, we're not going to heal like Jesus. Jesus was the son. He is the Son of God. But I'm going to tell you here on this program, some people are going to be healed in their health. Some people are going to be healed in their finances. Some people are going to be healed in their relationships and in their mentality and their spiritual life. I'm telling you, God is that good that he's going to allow that to come out of my life. He's going to allow that to manifest out of my life. He's healed me, and he's going to heal you. But do you want to be healed is the question. Do you want the power inside of you to take you to that level, the next level? Do you want that? See, look, don't get it twisted. You ain't getting it because, oh, I want it and I'm going to hope to get it. No, you got to be diligent. You got to have a system. You got to have a process. You got to know. You got to know like you know that it's already inside. You got to see it in you first, because if you see it in you first, then it will manifest on the outside. See it in you first, then it will manifest on the outside. That's the power that's already inside of you. So, guys, I want to thank you for joining me today for this enlightenment program here on Facebook Live. Power. You've got power. Now go use it. If you need help identifying your power, if you need help getting to your next level, you've got an opportunity to work with me. I'll teach you. I'll help you get to the next level. Schedule a call with me. God bless you. Take care.